Welcome back to the Teams Insider podcast. This week we are talking frontier agents. I have Alev and Chris, who are always great at decoding the marketing versus the reality of what's going on. We talk about the different agent capabilities. Chris has created some agents as well, including a pub quiz agent, and we talk about how he created that, all based on SharePoint and actually bringing that agent into Teams for a live pub quiz. Many thanks to Chris and Alev for jumping on the podcast. And also many thanks to Jabra, who are the sponsor of this podcast. Really appreciate all their support of the community. On with the show. Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. It's been a while since we've had Alev and Chris on, and they're always who I go to decode the Copilot AI, agentic, frontier firm, the whole story, because there's been a lot going on. As we record this, it's just off the back of the AI summit in London, and Satya did a really good keynote with kind of laying out the Microsoft story. So what we thought we'd do is dig into some of that and try and decode it and where kind of the practical applications are for customers as well. So for people that don't know you guys, Alev, do you want to go first? Do a bit of an intro?
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Alev Tamer. I had a role change. So I am now a senior partner solution architect for AI business solutions, concentrated on South Europe partners, specifically with our Jumpstart partners for Copilot and AI Agent at Work.
Awesome. And Chris?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Chris Wheeler. I'm a Copilot Solution Engineer in the UK in the public sector space, looking after a lot of our NHS healthcare customers. And really happy to be here with Alev.
Awesome. So it wasn't that long ago we recorded, but things have moved on pretty materially. And I think both in sense of, we were talking last night at the London user group, actually, like the new models, the Opus 4.6 and Codex 5.3, and just the ability to really bring to life these like long running, interacting with tools, agentic type scenarios. And like, I don't know where we want to start, whether we want to start with like definition of agents or what agents are. Maybe that's a good place to start.
Yeah, absolutely.
So start.
Yeah, I guess in essence, the agentic side of things is a lot around building, bespoke tools that are more aligned to our organizational needs around processes. We see a lot of different agents that are coming about, some that have been made predominantly by, specific vendors. I mean, even ourselves, we've got those. But a lot of the real excitement is where our customers and the public are building their own as well. And these agents can do a vast array of different things, but ultimately they are really specialized and bespoke. They go a little bit above and beyond what we have with our personal AI tools, like you see Copilot, you see ChatGPT. This is going to be like revolutionizing the way that we see generative AI in the future as well.
Yeah, so we're kind of moving from like a chat response type scenario to doing something useful, and then there's kind of a blurry line for me in terms of I can call an agent and interact with it versus an agent autonomously, proactively doing something like it checks an email inbox and it does a thing and it brings me or the team the data. Is there different language inside of Microsoft for those scenarios, or is it all agentic and they're just kind of different types?
I would say it's all agentic, but it's different types of agents. So some of the agents, I actually call them my digital assistants, because the chatbots, they act like our assistants. So this is why we actually made Copilot as our user interface for AI. So we actually go a specific place without switching to another platform to do our work. And some of them, I do call them as my digital colleagues, because they act like a colleague. They can take action. You can just trigger them and automate a process from beginning to end. So this is why we are actually trying to land the frontier firm. What that means, frontier firm is very different from the frontier agent concepts, let's say.
Yeah, so I'm going to dig in on that frontier thing, but what would be an example, Alev, of those agent scenarios you're using like day to day or week to week?
Well, I didn't even realize that Copilot is the tool that I use every day. And when I didn't have an access for a certain period of time, I was craving for it. So two of the agents that I use regularly is research and analyst. So they are now generally available to everyone. But I only know maybe 20% of Excel capabilities. So I now have the analyst agents to just analyze my very complex Excel spreadsheet and create maybe an opportunity deck. So this is great. I do use our employee self-service agents because like things in the UK, Microsoft UK is very different than Microsoft Turkey. So I ask some questions about HR or IT stuff. When it comes to autonomous agents, we have an agent in Microsoft called Know Your Customer. Basically, it has our worldwide customer portfolio. And if I am meeting with a new customer, I just give it some information, either tenant ID or top parent ID, and I ask for create me a review, and then it will just recommend me, would you like me to create a dossier deck? Voila.
Amazing.
It just within minutes, I will have the deck for their modern work usage overall, including Microsoft 365 Copilot.
That's so cool. That's a really interesting example.
Yeah. And then literally from my side, I'm going to put my hands up. I don't use research as much as I should do, but I have built myself my own personal agent that basically reviews my job role. So at Microsoft, we have what we call a role library, which has all of the expectation of a solution engineer, depending on what level you are, your IC level, your individual contributor level. And it then gives me the information of what I need to progress into the next level as well. So what I can do is I can then, the agent's already been instructed, it's got the knowledge source, and what I do is I reference my meetings to it. So if I run a demo with a customer, I say to my agent, look, based on what I've been talking about, what have I done really well as part of my role? What do I need to do to progress? So that's like a little bit of a career progression that I've done.
That's really interesting. So that's like,
so
almost like a personal career coach in that scenario.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and we already do have career. We've got our out of the box agents. We've got a career coach. We've got prompt coaches. But no, this one's really, really tailored, really specific just to my role. So yeah, it's actually quite cool as well because I've just been invited to develop it internally at Microsoft so other people can benefit from it as well. Wow. So sharing is caring. So yeah, that's like my own personal agent. And then the next one I've got is going to be so funny. This afternoon, I'm running a pub quiz, and this is my next agent, which is more of like that team player, that pattern 2 of that frontier vision. So this is where like, I think I remember last time, Tom, we spoke, like I had this vision that agents were going to, or even Copilot was going to be like its own entity. And there's a little bit of sustainability in there as well. Like if one person sends one prompt to Copilot, everyone sees the answer. And it's the same with this agent as well. So I've basically developed the SharePoint agent, which I can then bring into a Teams meeting, and everyone who's got a license can interact with it.
Yeah.
It won't be able to tell you the answers to the pub quiz questions. I've instructed it not to reveal anything.
You're gonna have to take Copilot out of the meeting though, because
well, that's the thing. No, so the whole meeting's not recorded because people could ultimately press that Copilot button. Yeah. And if I say, what's the question? They go, oh, what's the answer? They could do that in real time. So no, we're not recording it. So I've thought about this. So the only thing they can do is just interact with that agent. But if they say to the agent, what was question 10 again of this round? And then it will say, look, this is the question. But the best thing is it saves me a massive job because it then reveals all of the not answers, the final scores.
Yeah.
And then it announces the winners at the end.
That's so cool.
I was thinking about training the agent to actually send. I've got some prizes to send some Amazon codes and some Amazon vouchers. I haven't got to that bit just yet. I was going to just maybe do that later on. That was just a bit of automation that I was thinking about. But no, the last piece around that automation is really important. So internally I haven't built anything, but I've been building loads of stuff for our customers. And the automation side is really cool because you don't have to invoke anything. So what we've done effectively is we've built, so in healthcare, there's a lot of things around like complaints and how best to manage and triage and summarize a lot of those complaints. So we built a lot of automation in there where as soon as an email lands into a complaints mailbox, an agent basically then just takes over, sends an acknowledgement back with the feedback and the empathy, but also triages the right department with all the key actions. So we've been doing a lot of things around automation, and I'm going to drop his name, but our colleague Graham Hosking as well, he's been building so much advanced stuff recently. He's been doing a lot of automation, but a lot of the agent to agent.
Oh, interesting. I've spoken to Graham for ages. I need to tap him up.
Yeah, no, he's honestly, it's just phenomenal. He's been so active on LinkedIn. He's basically built like this RFP he built this team of agents that starts from when the RFP first comes in. It then basically passes it on to each agent as soon as they've done their job, and it's all just done in the background. And at the end, Graham just gets this really comprehensive document and summary of that as well.
Yeah, that team of agents thing is a relatively recent paradigm where obviously you've got a certain context window with a certain agent, so the ability to split the work and have agents work either like linearly or together autonomously is really exciting, because you can really tune the agent persona or use case to each of those subsets. This one does the research, this one does the PowerPoint, this one does the summary,
Yeah. And then moving forward from that, what we're then capable of doing is treating those agents still as like almost like a colleague. We keep saying that, like, he'll be a team member, he'll be a colleague, but the thing that makes a colleague will be a lot of things like identity, access control, and that helps with things like reporting and true governance. Like we have lots of automation in the background, but there's no real way to track it. I mean, you could do it, if you have a look through like Power Automate and other viewpoints. But to actually have proper agents that have like their own email addresses or their own access to documents, it makes a lot of sense if you're an administrator and you want to make sure that, you've got full control over what those agents are doing, especially if we're building them ourselves and then basically handing it to the administrators to properly manage in our own M365 environments.
Yeah, I was talking to Enterprise last night about manageability and scaling and where Agent 365 plays. And
exactly.
I feel like we're missing some language between I've spun up a personal agent that I like a prompt response agent. This agent is different because it's prompt response, but for a group of people. So now it's got a dependency for a whole group of people. And this is different again because it's autonomous. Like you said, it's picking up an email, it's doing some actions. Like we talk about agentic, but there's extremes between check the weather agent that I wrote that checks the internet and gives me the weather for my location, like fairly low business risk and handy, to this thing actually runs the entire complaint system for like an NHS trust and is mission critical and needs management and change control, etc., etc.
But I think that's where we can talk about to no-code to pro-code agents. So there are 3 types of agents where we can actually use the agents in Copilot Studio, or create the agent in Copilot Studio Lite as declarative agents, where you can actually interact with the chatbot. Mm-hmm. And then you go to the low code with Copilot Studio and create the agents can just do actions with the triggers. And then if you would like the end-to-end autonomous ones, you go to the Microsoft Foundry. So this is when we introduce Microsoft 365 Copilot, we introduced as the personal AI assistant, and it's the truth. But with the agent, I can actually contribute to my individual team. And this is why Copilot is becoming a team assistant.
Yeah, I think the other thing that's really interesting about that journey, say like kind of declarative or really no code, low code to proper coding, is the ability to generate those scenarios with AI is getting exponentially better as well. Like if you look at like the GitHub Copilot Terminal CLI, for example, like you can treat it like you're talking to a developer to start to develop some of this stuff. I think that line is going to continue to blur as to who does what. Like actually you can have a really proactive knowledge worker that can start to generate some of these scenarios, maybe with some pro coder support.
Yeah. But the also cool thing as well is the actual communication's getting better as well. So we've seen some previews of like an agent that has voice capabilities. Mm-hmm. So like we've been seeing with our facilitator at the moment, you type to it and you chat with it. Moving forward, agents, you'll just be able to talk to it.
Yeah.
Because it has its own identity as well, but you can then say, hey, facilitator, can you do this? And it will respond.
Yeah, so if you imagine what you see today of chatting to regular Copilot on the mobile app like that, but for your agent scenarios is really exciting.
Just assign this task to me by the end of May, or just create a whiteboard within the meeting.
Yeah,
it's
I'm
awesome.
fully converted to. I'm using a lot of Whisperflow, like speech to text scenarios. I know there's native equivalents on Windows and Mac as well, and it's like you're more likely to give a better prompt, I find, when you're speaking, and it'll be the same thing with voice interaction with the agents. Like it's like having to type a really extensive response versus just chatting to be like, do this, do that. But the other thing that's exciting is the agent being able to like turn the conversation around to be like, I'm trying to achieve this, ask me the right questions until you have everything you need. And suddenly actually the agent is pulling the information out of you rather than you pushing it in.
But it's same with the Copilot and prompting. Sometimes you need 2 or 3 prompts in able to get exactly what you need. You can actually ask it, Copilot, what should have been my first prompt? Then if you are going to use it regularly, you can either schedule it or you can just save it and share with your team.
Yeah.
It's interesting that the training that we give, you may have seen that GCSE framework as well. So we always use that because when you're typing, think about the goal, the context, the sources, the expectation. And obviously with this whole voice stuff happening, our language is going to change massively because all we're going to say is, are you good at having a conversation? If you are, just have a chat, and it comes a lot more naturally.
But even if you're not good, you can literally go to the AI and be like, I don't really know what I'm doing here, but I want to do this thing. You keep asking me all the questions you need and all the options, like you turn the persona around, which you couldn't do in the early models didn't have that capability, which is why we were so obsessed 2 years ago about structuring our prompt so well. It's got so much better now that in terms of the reasoning models and the latest frontier models, that actually you can be a lot less knowledgeable and still get really good results out, I found.
Well, agent-to-agent conversation, I recently discovered an agent. So I know that in Microsoft, we are trying to lead the frontier firm concept, which means that we have actually too many agents. We have agents to brainstorm agents. We have agents to optimize the instruction for the agents. We have agents to provide really good build guide. And then I just had this agent partner success. And then I realized all of these agents are included in this agent. So it will actually help us to help our partners to create agents. And then there is an agent marketeer. Also, it can create the marketing materials for that agent. I was like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, it's all part of this multi-agent, teaming agents, whatever the industry terminology is, of having them work together is really exciting.
Yes, but
you mentioned Frontier, Alev. Like let's decode, because I feel like Frontier is being used interchangeably for a way of working, and then there's Frontier Program, which is like tap preview for Copilot. Can you decode those two things?
Of course. The Frontier Program is like a preview for some of the agents, which we actually try and test with some of the selected customers. So if you see the Frontier, if you enabled Frontier Program in your tenant, because you need to actually enable that program, you'll see the Frontier agents, which means that it's in preview and it's up to our program group to either release it in general availability or not. The Frontier Firm concept is very different. This is why I was going through the customer zero story, because as Microsoft, we consider ourselves as customer zero. So the first level is you give an generative AI tool as the colleague's AI assistant, like Copilot. But then when you start evolving that process, you give AI or digital assistants or colleagues to help that individual and the team with some tasks. Because believe it or not, in Microsoft, we do really lots and lots of manual tasks. So this is my way to just use those kind of autonomous or custom agents to save some time in my day-to-day life. But then the top tier is agent-operated but human-led operations or companies. So this is how we call Frontier Firm. So like I said, I know that we had agent instruction optimizer agent, but that was an individual agent. And then we started with agent brainstorming, but then we are now leading the way with those kind of agent-to-agent conversations. Every time I say to my customers or partners, we are not trying to, or AI will not just replace the people or the human effort. It will actually just empower them with more business productivity. But yes, you'll need to know how to use AI in the best way.
And
Even
that like first step, which is, let's be honest, a lot of companies are still on kind of that first step of even just the chat interactivity. Over the last 12 months, Microsoft have pumped a lot of value into the included tier of Copilot. So some of the agentic scenarios in the Office apps are now in the included tier. Like you can get to the latest models on the included tier. I feel like a lot of organizations have missed that. Yes, there is the $30 M365 Copilot license, but actually the included tier has got quite a lot of value to start you on that journey.
let alone now we have multi-model approach.
Yeah. When are we going to get the Anthropic model in Europe? That's what I want.
Hopefully soon.
It's in progress.
I saw the Grok Fast came to US on Frontier the other week as well. So it's interesting to see how Microsoft are standing behind this idea that it's not going to be a single Copilot experience we dictate. Actually, customers are going to have choice of models and choice of interaction.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same ethos we've had since, app development and data sources. We're always going to work with absolutely anyone and everyone, providing within our own sort of, guardrails and safety and everything as well. But it is interesting. I was very shocked to see the Grok and the XAI stuff happening. So, it's a really cool time, and it just doesn't really matter what models now. It's just everything kind of works and connects now. It's the same as your standard simple IT stuff in interoperability and coexistence and everything like that as well.
Awesome. I think we got the understanding of Frontier and the difference between the Frontier program and the kind of Frontier concept. Let's talk Work IQ for a bit, because I think this is the thing that really differentiates what Microsoft can do. Like there's a lot going on in this super competitive space. It's interesting to see Anthropic and OpenAI increasingly have first-party enterprise offers, but I feel like Work IQ is the thing that really feeds kind of the differentiation of Copilot. Can you talk us through what it really is?
Would you like me to, Chris?
Yeah, go on. Yeah.
So Work IQ includes different concepts now. Now we are actually bringing I2 in your day-to-day work, and I literally enjoy it. So we have the Microsoft 365 database. We call that Graph API or Graph Data. So Graph Data has your emails, calendar items, Microsoft 365 documentations, and SharePoint, OneDrive, as well as all of your team's communications and collaborations. And then we actually introduce memory and personalization. I think it was last summer. So you can actually let Copilot know who you are. So one of the things that I give as an example, the regular Copilot will give you the response in English US. And if you are living or working with the UK colleagues, they use British English, and it's different.
So whenever...
Yes. So I did ask Copilot to just ask me 10 questions to get to know me better. So I let it know that I use British English or English UK. I do like kind, caring, and some kind of an informal conversation. So this is your personalization on top of your work data. As well as it will use your conversation history. So it knows about you, your organization, your close collaborators, your team, your teammates. So whenever it gives you the response, it will use those kind of Work IQ to just make it more personalized. Anything I miss, Chris?
Just the last bit, I think, just around the inferencing. So the inferencing, it used to be called the semantic indexing. Like we had like a name for it where, as well as obviously having all these really good data sources, we needed something to basically connect all the dots and help with the real value behind trying to find the right information that helps with the grounding and everything. So yeah, that inference is also embedded into Work IQ. That's like the proper intelligence layer.
Yeah, and it's like so we obviously had Graph before, so we could go and query all our data, like query my emails, query my calendar, whatever. There's a layer there trying to, because you've only got a finite context window, trying to optimize this is the right format and the right information to feed that particular scenario. I think that's a really interesting thing. I was surprised. It's actually been out a couple of months, but I hadn't seen it. The Work IQ MCP as well. So there was a scenario where someone was in GitHub Copilot in the CLI on the terminal and was pulling things from WorkIQ via MCP into the CLI session, which is really interesting.
Yeah, so like that story there is also really important because as we like working with, other types of vendors and platforms, as well as pulling information, we could also push out information as well. So, it's a really cool little transaction.
Yeah, it feels like MCP has really taken off inside of Microsoft. I know there's a bunch of stuff coming as well, but like I'm liking seeing the openness there because it's there's a lot of corporate data in there, and some of that I might be using first party in Copilot, but I might be building line of use cases. Another interesting one was there's an API for that corporate WorkIQ data, so not your personal OneDrive or your personal email, but you can build an agentic scenario and do pay-as-you-go access to the kind of corporate SharePoint data in an agentic scenario. So potentially you could have people on the Copilot included tier and still get some of that knowledge, which I thought again was really good.
Yeah.
So Chris, when you're building your pub quiz agent scenario, where are you on the declarative, super codey developer? What tooling are you using? How's that work?
Yeah, I spend a lot of my time in Copilot Studio. I'm not a full-blown developer. I could probably try it and maybe fail a few times, but no, I do spend a lot of time, in Copilot Studio. I find a lot of really great use cases around, pre-built connectors, actions. I spend a lot of time doing the autonomous side of things, which is like the agent flows, which is effectively Power Automate. But yeah, for this particular pub quiz agent, this was done in SharePoint. And it was just using simple agent builder because that's all I needed it for, basically. So the idea being is that it creates like that .agent file. You give it obviously the source of information, which is obviously within that SharePoint site. You give it the instructions, and the other cool thing as well is it's always good to have that agent there. But then the next question is, okay, where's this agent going to pop up? Because then that's the next bit around, okay, well, declarative, it's in Copilot. That's great because I use Copilot anyway. I could tag the agent in my flows and my process. But where this was quite interesting was we start seeing these agents appearing in like shared channels. We see, we tried this in, a Teams webinar and obviously meetings as well. There was one bit that we just struggled with breakout rooms. That's probably like the next step where the breakout rooms, you can't use the agent in a breakout room just yet.
That's interesting because it spins up another MCU. I hadn't thought about that.
It was just, it was very simply built with the agent builder. It used to be called Copilot Studio Lite. We moved it back again to now agent builder. Very, very simple agent building capabilities. But all the other things I'm doing, a lot of times I'm using Copilot Studio. And to be fair, the Foundry stuff I'm doing is more model building. So as you know, there's good 11, 12,000 different models now on Foundry. Yeah. And what I really do like is I like bringing that into Copilot Studio. So I did this one cool one recently where I was showing a demo where I asked everyone to give me some dummy feedback. And it was quite funny because I told people to be quite nasty. So I showed a little bit of automation where basically the agent would pick up if the sentiment was nasty or negative. And then what it would do is it will send me an email to give me that feedback. But what was driving it was I actually brought in DeepSeek as a model. So as it was going through, the model was actually producing the output rather than GPT or Anthropic. Yeah. It was DeepSeek. And it was really funny because at this event, there was a good 50 odd people. I thought literally about 3 or 4 of them would have been quite nasty. And it turns out all of them were like, oh yeah, you look like a primary school teacher.
They like you so much, Chris. They were willing to do whatever you asked. That was what it was.
But no, just going back to what was working really well was the Foundry. You could build loads of different models. You can train it yourself. You can own all of it, bring it into Studio for different topics or different prompts and bits and pieces like that. So
yeah, no, you explained the different options really well there. I think that model selection, we're getting into quite an advanced topic there, but that's where again, Foundry is quite interesting because at some point we're going to be thinking about either optimized models for specific scenarios or based on cost or any of the above. So you're definitely I feel like you're into the pro end of the scale there. But it's interesting to me how accessible this stuff is becoming. And it seems like when people get it, it's quite a quick journey to be like, oh, I can do some pretty advanced stuff. Like you said, you do that pub quiz thing just with SharePoint. I would have assumed that was more the pro code end of the scale.
Yeah. No, it is interesting, and obviously, whilst we also say you've got all these capabilities, there comes like the talk around just making sure that it is governed correctly, because a lot of this falls upon Power Platform. There's a load of like security in Azure as well by itself. So yeah, just bear in mind that actually some of these capabilities might have already been locked down, because you want to start like, you know, just trickling through some of those real cool like use cases, but not like boil the ocean. And also, you're not going to build something that's going to like consume like £2,000 overnight if you use it, or you know, it's just that level of just pure proper management of those agents, making sure there's like not a big deal of agent sprawl, or like, you know, the billings and the proper processes that drives a lot of the other platforms that we see, like Power Platform.
Yeah, it feels like enterprises are starting to feel out what that might look like. A bit like, you know, some have had center of excellences around things like Power Platform or Power Apps. Like, it feels like we're going to need center of excellence both on the supporting people achieving their goals with AI and agents, but also the ongoing management and operations. If we are going to have thousands of agents, there is going to need to be management and understanding and lifecycle and all those kind of good things around it.
This is why we introduced Agent 365, which will be the platform to just have that control.
Yeah, that's like a really interesting conversation, and I'm holding on the pricing. As soon as we know the pricing, then I'll know where we are with that. But it's definitely something is going to be needed to understand what's going on and what those agents have access to, and even just how like being used, how well they're being used, because there's a interesting virtuous cycle of something you built 12 months ago. There's probably a better option, the better model now, because things have changed. So it's not just governance, but also just like, oh, okay, it's being used really heavily. Why don't we tune that up to be even better?
Yeah, I mean, if you've already got things like proper ITIL frameworks, then it works really well. It's that continuous service improvement and proper real operational efficiency. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, Alev, Chris, thanks for jumping on again, decoding some of the various marketing terms into actual what the reality is on the ground. I really appreciate it. And I know we're a bit off some exciting announcements in March and April, so we'll let those things land, and then maybe we'll catch up again.
Stay tuned.
Awesome. Thanks both.
Awesome.
Thank
Cheers.
you.